If you don't have clean glasses, what even is life?
What are you even doing? Who are you kidding?
Yeah.
Okay. You ready? Here we go.
Here we go.
Hello and welcome, fellow awesomologists, to Awesomology, the show where we find awesome things and dish them up just for you. I'm Sue.
And I'm Vince. In this episode, we're tackling a lot of firsts here. It is our first, it's our first full remote episode. We did have our little update last time around, but we're doing a full remote episode. Fun times, so we're working all that out. This is our first time with this many guests on the podcast. So we have with us, joining us remotely, 6 other people besides us. So we're having 8 people all at once. First time for that.
That's craziness.
And so we're going to have all of our guests introduce themselves in just a moment. But how we know them is each of these fine folks were crash mentors at the recent CUNA Government Affairs Conference. So for you, listener, if you don't know what the CUNA Government Affairs Conference is, it's a national level political advocacy for credit unions event. So getting people, and we've talked on the podcast about our state program, the state GAC. So getting people in the rooms with legislators, talking about issues that are important to credit unions. It is that on the national level in Washington.
Well said.
Well
said. And we are fortunate to have these guests with us today with the help of our fearless leader, Ben Bauer, who is also going to be with us, because these are all his friends that he suggested we get in and have a awesome conversation about working from home, which we are all doing right now.
Yes. Yes. So in our whole new world of everybody staying home and in the interest of safety, which we talked about in our update, we are working from home. Everyone joining us today is working from home. Everybody that can around us that is able to is working from home. So we thought it would be a very timely discussion to talk about what that's like for each of us and maybe some tips and tricks for you if you're working at home.
Here we go. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here with us. Let's start out with introductions. And if you would, tell us who you are, who do you work for, and what do you do?
All right, well, I'll go first. My name is Andrea Finley.
Uh-oh.
What's that? Uh-oh.
We lost you for a second, Andrea, but I think you're back.
Oh, no. Okay. So the long and short of what I do is I create for community. So I traditionally spend a lot of time outside of the office, teaching at schools and nonprofits and just a lot of outside community work.
Okay, awesome. So pretty tough time to be doing that sort of work right now, huh? Okay. Okay. All right, Courtney.
Hey, I'm Courtney Angeli. I work for Filing Research Institute, specifically the Cooperative Trust. And my big role there is I get to work with emerging leaders across North America, bring them along to crashes, as well as engaging them online with the Cooperative Trust community. So super excited. We're doing all kinds of virtual things now, which is weird, but fun.
Very nice. And Lauren.
Yay! Okay, so my name is Lauren Davis. I'm a little too excited, y'all. This is like the highlight of my day.
You're the right amount of excited. Bring it.
So my name is Lauren Davis. I work at Meritus Credit Union in Lafayette, Louisiana. We're a bit of a smaller credit union, about $200 million in assets, and I lead our marketing team there. So with the recent outbreak, our schedule has drastically changed. From the point of a marketing perspective, every promotion, every piece of content, every event that we have is kind of like turned upside down now. So it's been interesting.
It sure has. That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, and Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I am Sarah Worth, and I work at Credit Union National Association. And like Lauren, I am on the marketing team, and it is definitely a whirlwind. We support credit unions as the National Trade Association, so providing advocacy, compliance, education solutions for credit unions around the country.
Very nice. And who is this Ben Bauer guy? Ben, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. It's nice meeting you guys for the first time too. This is great. So I am the VP of Awesomeness, which is marketing inside Simplicity Credit Union, and also our QSO, which is called Exclamation Services. So I lead the marketing team there, help with strategy, creative, the client management and stuff like that for all of our clients that are getting help from us with their marketing at their credit union or their organization. And yeah, I get to work with Vince and Sue every day. It's the best.
So basically the luckiest guy in the room right now. So what we're talking about today is all about this, what we're experiencing, this working from home, and just finding different ways of doing things. And like in some cases, to Lauren's point, doing things totally differently right now. So let's just start, and we'll keep this really casual and easy peasy. Let's start with a conversation. Everybody's working from home right now. We can see all of your wonderful faces and your wonderful personal spaces there. What are you doing to get yourself taking a break, getting away from that laptop and those headsets, and just and trying to keep your life as normal as you possibly can, and keep yourself sane working from home?
I can kick off.
Take it.
So naturally, I've been learning that my introverted self is like totally good working remotely. And I'm like, all right, I'm good, like being by myself all day. But what I've learned and what's really been helping me is planning out scheduled times for me to like stretch or go make lunch or listen to a podcast. And then I end my day right at 4:30, go put my workout clothes on and do an at-home workout. It really helps like transition from being in that workspace to, okay, now this is my leisure time. So that's been really helpful for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say the schedule has been like the biggest learning curve for us. So Katie, my wife, is at home too, and she works part-time, but it's still like 24-ish hours a week. And then we have a 4-year-old son at home. So we're pretty much like divvying up who's working and who's with Charlie. So, between the two of us, we're kind of like, it totals up to like a 14-hour day, once in a while we get lucky and he'll actually nap and both of us can be working then. But so it's a little weird in that it's almost like we're working longer now, even though we're at home, because there's just that like constant shuffle of schedules and stuff. But just, figuring it out and working with each other and planning the day out has been super important. But also it took us like 4 days to figure it out. And now we kind of have this groove going and it's working. And it's actually, I don't know. I mean, I do miss being at the office. I miss seeing my coworkers, no doubt. But it's kind of nice being home with the family a lot. So.
Well, and we're seeing a lot of each other already, right? So I almost feel like we're getting more face-to-face on our team, like actual literal looking each other in the eyes than we maybe do a lot of weeks where we're just in our own spaces and doing our own stuff and Skyping each other from 10 feet away.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the second time I've seen Ben and Lauren on a video conference within the last 2 days. I could be wrong on the days, but it's been awesome. So I can agree with that.
Yeah, for me, it's the opposite of not. So you asked the question of how do you make sure I have allotted time just by myself. I have a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. So check on your coworkers with small children. We are not okay. We are definitely trying. So because they're children, they don't really understand. So even though I have a dedicated space, that has definitely helped. For me, it's been getting up even earlier than the kids normally get up, or that I would normally get up, and starting my work day even an hour and a half earlier, just to have that quiet, peaceful time. And then knowing and being aware of my afternoons, there's going to be interruptions, and I just have to set that expectation ahead. So I've had that conversation with my manager, and she understands too. She's like, hey, we'll do our important stuff in the morning. In the afternoon, we'll touch base. But if there's interruptions, it's life, right? This is not your normal work from home situation for a lot of people.
Right. Very good point. Very good point. What, Vince, you don't know anything about kids interrupting you, so maybe we'll have Andrea explain that a little bit.
We have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, so every time I go to the bathroom, Dad, are you done? Are you done? No, but it's 9:30 in the morning.
So I'd have to say that I'm super jealous of all of you who actually get to work from home because currently right now I'm at home. I'm on my lunch break, but I'm actually still going into work every day. And so I kind of feel like I snuck into y'all's little group. And I'm super excited to be able to chat with you guys. But our credit union actually, as of yesterday, we started a new procedure process, if you want to call it, where we'll have half of the staff working at the branch one week and then the other half the next week. And so we're kind of rotating. And so all of our departments have half the people that are usually there. And it's my week to still go into the office. But I do get to have my first week at home officially next week. So that's exciting. But yeah, it's been interesting to see so many people working from home and talking about their experiences. Because it's just a whole different ball game to actually have to sit at home and manage your schedule and get work done.
Yeah. That's such an interesting plan, Lauren. I don't think I haven't heard. We have definitely looked at a lot of different sort of responses and things people are doing, and that 50-50 thing, that's a new one. That's a really interesting. Can you comment at all on why that rather than everyone working from home who can, or anything like that?
No, I when I heard it for the first time myself, I thought it was very interesting as well. So just to be fair, just so that people across the entire credit union, it was basically the same thing being applied to everyone. And the way it's technically working right as of right now is the week that you're off, you actually don't have to work from home. You are just off, and we're keeping everybody on payroll. And so it's basically like you're working every other week. And the week that you're home, you can just be at home with your family. So it's, on one hand, it's really nice to have that time to be able to do projects or just, relax, get your life together. And, on the other hand, it's still, interesting to have to go into work physically, but it's kind of just keeping business somewhat as normal as possible during this time.
Right. It's a lot. I think for a lot of credit unions, a lot of businesses, it's a lot of pressure to make sure that we are helping the people that need help and taking care of the people inside the team too, and balancing all of that. So they're tricky decisions to make, and they can be pretty emotionally charged too.
So I'm going to take the next one. We heard a little bit about maybe new coworkers in terms of family or home surroundings. So let's just talk a little bit more about that, specifically just a little bit about family or maybe pet situations. So who now makes up your new coworker?
Ooh, I will kick this one off. So my husband and I both now work from home. He's on the phone all the time. I am not as often. So we decided that the office would be his office. And let's be real, that's where he played video games. So it's really his office anyways. Be fine. He's so sweet. He's like, it's our office. I'm like, okay, because it's definitely a video gamer's office. And I really like being out in the living room. And so I think, I didn't answer the last question, but I think that was really important for me, to your point of taking breaks. I like being out in the living room. I have huge windows and I can just kind of look outside. And I really love that. But I have also 2 cats who initially were so excited that I was home for about 24 hours. And now they're like, where are they? I don't know. I don't care about you anymore, which I guess is for the best, because initially my cat and I were fighting over the chair that I'm sitting on, and she was winning most of the time because she would claw into it. And I'm like, well, I'm not. I'm just going to lean over and stand and type this way. Oh, kitties.
Talking about cats, my cat is the complete opposite. So I live in a small studio apartment by myself with my cat. She is not even 2 years old, so she's very playful. And if you didn't notice in the beginning of the call, I had to keep pushing her out of the frame because she just loves to be on camera. So me adjusting to being home with her, I think she's like, lady, what are you doing here? You're taking up my space. This is my house. You just live in it. So that's yes. I'm I have been trying. I have to get the laser pointer out during my meetings to just occupy her so she's not super disruptive, but it's definitely an adjustment. But it's also great because everybody can start to see you in your natural element and get to know you on a different level, even though you're working remote. It's such a weird thing, but it brings people so much closer together.
That's a really good point. Somebody pointed out to me, we very suddenly are going to get to see other people's houses that we've never seen people in their natural habitats before. And we're going to get to see what's going on behind everybody.
Yeah, for us, so it's Charlie, our 4-year-old, and he's done such a great job with it. And, like I said, in the first question, I think our schedule has helped with that. Somebody's kind of always with him and focused on him and what he needs. We have a cat and a dog, and under normal circumstances, where we go to work during the day and then come home, our house is this group of 5 beings that just is constantly in a huddle that goes everywhere from room to room. So when we're eating dinner in the kitchen, Odie's right under the table, our dog, and Linus is off to the side, just waiting for, scraps or whatever. And then when we're chilling on the couch at night, all 5 of us are on the couch, and, but during the day here, I at least get to block myself off in our corner office, and most of the time the door's closed just to prevent distractions. But So it's just kind of weird to be like the one person in the group that's, out of the posse for a little bit during the day, because I know that the animals are with Katie and Charlie right now. So it's weird. But.
Absolutely. So my oldest, he's 6. And so before all of this, kind of like Sarah, I'm an introvert. So I'm like, oh, this is great. We've already been homeschooling our oldest anyway. So now it's like, oh, you have 2 teachers instead of 1. And he absolutely loves it. So he knows that I work. And like Vince, I get a lot of questions of, are you done? Are you done? Are you done? So what we've decided to do in the afternoons is while I work, I share the table space with him. So I'll set up my personal laptop and he'll watch videos and do his lessons while mommy works. So he feels involved in the process, and that's helped smooth it out a lot instead of the "Are you done? Are you done? Are we there yet?" kind of mentality. And that's really helped out. Now the baby, he just doesn't understand, so I definitely try to make sure we take breaks and mealtime. I value my personal lunchtime at work so much more now, where it was, hey, I can grab a lunch and decompress for an hour, 30 minutes. Now it's, okay, I fix everybody lunch. So lunch tends to take a little bit longer. But it's great to have that breakup of the day and have that family time. So we're adjusting, but it's going well.
So I have a really boring answer to this question. I have no pets and I have no children. And I do have a neighborhood cat that lives under my porch, and sometimes my fiance feeds him. So there's that. We call her Batman because she's like black and gold, kind of speckled little kitty. But yeah. Needless to say, it's been a huge adjustment, even without, kids or pets. Just the last couple weeks.
Well, I have my daughter just moved home with my granddaughter, and she brought 3 cats and a lizard. No, 2 cats and a lizard, and we already had a cat and 2 dogs. So I have 3 cats, 2 dogs, a lizard, and a 5-year-old. So I can send you any combination of that, Lauren. I can just
send just a couple of your coworkers my way. That's fine.
I'm happy to share because it's
not sure if this was a competition, but you totally win.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. It might not have been a competition, but I am glad I won. Oh, Charlie. Did we just see? Oh, where'd he go?
Yeah, he peeked on screen, but I don't know if you can hear him with my headphones on. Keep going.
Okay.
We're waiting for our celebrity cameo there.
Yeah, we just really wanted to get Charlie's answer to the question. What it's like we're trying to get his job done with his dad around. So let's just real quick, since a couple of people have brought it up. Some people have dedicated spaces. Some people are sitting in sort of common spaces. What's the rundown? I'm mostly in the dining room. I just this weekend created a little space with a little desk up in my bedroom, if I can get up there. But what about everyone else? Are you in a dedicated space? Are you in a common space? And how is that working?
I basically took over my husband's office, so I'm not sure how he feels about that, but it is a room with a door. So that's extremely helpful for me, especially during those early morning where I'm trying to tiptoe around and get some work done.
So the important thing is it works for you, whether it works for him or not.
Hey, at least you have a door. I don't have doors in my apartment. I have my setup is on my island extending from my kitchen. And Cuno was gracious enough to let us take our monitors home. So I have my 2 monitors, and like the amount of productivity has like totally shifted since I got them. So I'm super grateful for that. So I'm just hanging out in my like living area on an island on a bar stool chair, and it hurts my butt because it's not very comfortable.
Yeah, I am in a living room. And like one of the things that my husband and I agreed on before, like, oh God, we're going to be in it like for a real long time with each other. We agreed to keep the space as clean as possible since we were both going to be working here. And we, for the most part, have done that. And I see now, like, and I've been staring at it the whole time. Just in the corner, there's a beer bottle. And like, I don't know who spotted that like earlier on, but I'm sure some people did. And that's been the hard thing. Like, I can't, like, Courtney, just sit down, keep working, do not get up and clean. Has been super hard. I don't know if anyone else wants to do that, but being in the living room, my goodness, like, oh, I could dust the entertainment center. Like, so I'm thinking about strategy. Yeah, that totally works. Like, no, just.
I'm sitting here nodding with you like 100% Courtney. I am the same exact way.
It's driving me crazy.
It would be so hard to work in a space that's not clean. I spent most of the weekend cleaning.
Yeah, same.
And, I'm still going into the office every day as of now, but even my office, like, it's just, you're able to be so much more productive when it's clean.
That's been a challenge for me, is not wanting to get up and spring clean my house because it's that time of the year anyway. So I have this mental list of, I can switch out the winter and the spring clothes, or I could, deep clean the bathrooms or whatever it is. So what I've found, I literally had to make a list and only plan to do one thing for the entire day when it came to that part. So that's what I look forward to when the workday is over, is I get to clean my bathroom or something that I've been dying to do. And I feel somewhat accomplished because, let's be real, I'll probably be here for a while. So I can probably accomplish a lot in the long run.
So for me, I do have a dedicated space, dedicated office. But to the whole cleaning point, like, we've been in a sort of weird flux of, like, we're planning on moving in the near future, but through a series of personal events, like, it's been on and off and, like, still a plan, but postponed. And so my office was a room that, like, okay, I can get that sort of ready to move or whatever. But so now it's in, like, this weird middle state where there's a reason I have my webcam at a nice upward angle so you can't see anything on the floor or anything. Like, over the weekend, I was like, I have to at least be able to walk from the door to the chair. So, yeah, it is a little messy in here, but cleaner than it was. So,
I have tried really deliberately, since I'm in the dining room, and my daughter, like, over the last week has been moving all of her stuff into our house. So I am trying to really deliberately just clean my space around me and have a dedicated space for me where things are nice and clean, and not spend all of my break time or anything trying to clean up the rest of if I turn this laptop around, you guys, I swear it's real bad. So, I think that brings us very naturally to pain points, and let's talk about it. I think a lot of people are trying really hard, and for very good reason, to focus on the positive and, to just make things work as best they can. But let's be honest with each other. What are some of your pain points? What are you working to overcome to be able to keep working and keep things moving forward?
I'll jump in and start. To Sarah's point about not being very comfortable sitting, I talked to our wonderful supervisor, Ben, and actually went into the office and brought my chair from the office home because sitting on a kitchen chair all day was not going to be good in the long term. So that helped out majorly.
Oh, what a great boss you have.
Yeah.
Really difficult decision for me. Yeah.
No, that's definitely like my biggest pain point is just like being comfortable, because I didn't realize how much standing and like having a comfortable chair helps so much. Like I've had so much back pain and I'm like, what is going on? So you really realize like the little things that mean so much. So some like ways that I'm trying to like get past that barrier is every morning I'll stand and I have like a little mat that I'll stand on for like an hour. And then when I'm in meetings, except for this one, I'm sitting right now, but I usually stand during all my calls. So I'm trying to like get my body moving. So I'm not just like sitting on this chair, and I'm just like it's hard to adjust, but I think it's helping a lot. And then I'll just like stretch and take like a 15-minute break to like sit on the couch. Because if I sit on the couch, I will want to watch TV and not get my work done. So I'll only do it for like 10 minutes and then I'll get back to work.
Yeah, Sarah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. It's so funny. I practice a lot of flexibility with myself. And so normally I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then if I don't do it, I'm like, oh, it's all right. You tried. You tried real hard. But the one thing that I'm like really, really working super hard to be self-disciplined with is not turning on the television. Because I get super distracted, and being in the living room, there's literally a TV right behind me. So it hasn't been necessarily a pain point because I actually have not broken down. I've not turned it on yet, even in like during my lunch break, which I have scheduled myself a hour lunch break between now and June. I didn't know when this was going to end, but I basically started blocking my time, which I didn't realize until recently was a style of time blocking called Pomodoro time blocking, where you actually like go in and like put scheduled time. So I've done that for like my entire day. And this just so happens that this was during a time that I had blocked, but then I'm like, okay, I can shift it here and here. So that I have been doing, and that's been super nice. It's just making sure that I actually say, okay, Courtney, you have strategic planning time right now, do it. Or you have emails and wrap up time, do it during this time. So for me, the biggest pain point is honestly like self-discipline with behaviors that are really innate, like in myself. And that is like being super flexible. Well, that's not really going to work for me working remote. Like I can't really be that flexible with myself. Like I can, but only to a certain point. So one tactic that I've been using to kind of combat that, and this is something that I've been working on anyways, is when I find myself getting super distracted or like pulled away, like, oh my God, I want to do the laundry, or I want to do the dishes, or turn the TV on, or like work out, because I'm like, I could just turn around and like set up my trainer and like go for a bike ride. This is great. Is I'll just keep working for 5 more minutes, and then 5 more minutes, and then 5 more minutes. And sometimes it's just 5 minutes, but in that 5 minutes, like I'm focused. Sometimes it's 10 minutes. Sometimes it turns into 20. Sometimes it turns into an hour. And then I'm like, oh crap, I just finished this task. And that wasn't my initial plan. My initial plan was to bail out and do something different. So, that's kind of been what's worked for me when I've started to find myself slipping out of work mode.
That's
which I don't know if that answered your question. Yeah. Thank you.
It's a serious great point, because my biggest pain point has been the amount of discipline that I need to have in order to get it done, because I squirrel. I'm like, oh, I could be doing this, or fighting the urge to multitask, because naturally I multitask when I'm in the office, but now it's a whole nother level of, like you said, oh, let's run the dishwasher, let's do some laundry. And so it's like, nope, focus. And so I will do the same thing, not necessarily 5 more minutes, but at the top of the hour, right? So at the top of the hour, I'll take a break and I'll do something different. But for me, it's just been a huge learning curve, the amount of discipline it takes, because it's something when you actually go into the office and remove yourself from all of your other distractions. I underestimated that. Now I appreciate it so much. So that has definitely helped me a lot. Top of the hour, but I might even try the 5 more minutes of just get it done. Just get in there and do it.
That's so interesting because I sort of find that I have somewhat the opposite problem, which is as soon as I get up and walk away from my laptop, I'm at home. So in my head, I'm like, I can't walk. I have to stay here. So I feel guilty if I get up, I'll get up and let the dogs out or something like that. And I'll be like, ooh, but I really need to be at work right now. So I need to, and I'm suddenly home instead of being at work.
Yes.
I don't give myself a lot of time away from the screen, which, in our job, that means I also am not taking any time away to be ideating or, thinking creatively or doing anything like that. I'm just like very zoned in on what's a task I can do, because if I'm doing a task, then I feel like I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like my biggest pain point is I'm so used to when I am working at home, like I have like a nice setup and quiet space and everything. It's fine. But when I do it, typically when we're not in this situation where we're forced to work remotely, it's purely like for catch up. So like I'm in there like hammering on emails, or I'm just like trying to crank something out because I'm at home and I don't necessarily want to be working at home. Whereas now it's like, this is the norm for me, at least for now. And so to get out of that, like I have to be cranking on a thing, mindset, and to like get into a creative space and stuff, which is one that I actually prefer to be working in. And I think I do best working in, like, it's really tough because this is just not the space that I do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just so different, but it's weird.
Very weird. It's a weird time. Mm-hmm. And even going into the office every day, there's still distractions. And, I find myself having to be very diligent about knowing what I'm doing that day and being disciplined enough to stick to that, because, just with our phones, it's easy just to like keep up to date with the news and like what's happening with the coronavirus today. And it's, distractions are still everywhere.
That's a really good point, Lauren, because that is definitely a thing I found myself doing, and we've done had to do a lot of stuff with communicating, and we have to make sure we know exactly what's happening right this second so we can get things out. But I do think that, at least personally, I have fallen into this trap of, because the news moved so quickly, that now I feel like I have to watch it every second mm-hmm. and see like what's the next thing that's going to happen, and we have to be prepared. And that's kind of emotionally draining, right?
Absolutely.
And don't even mention the comment sections.
Oh yeah, let's not even talk about comments.
Well, it's so interesting that you say that, Sue, because I've done the same thing, and like I'll be panicked and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I just heard this. The governor just said this, and I'm like, Kevin, that's my husband, like, we have to go to the grocery store. Like, I'm just going to go right now. And I'll just like leave in the middle of the day, go to the grocery store. And he's like, what are you doing? Like, you're just like leaving work. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. We need to make sure we have, and I'm not like taking all the toilet paper, you guys. One can of like everything. But like, there's certain things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I didn't have this. So I think there's guilt in almost having fear over what's happening, because it's taking us away from our jobs. And I think that's such an interesting place to be, because we're all feeling that. So like, how do we cope with that? Anyways, super weird. To everyone's point, it's a weird time.
I think that's the umbrella statement for this whole conversation. It's just a super weird time, you guys. So weird.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap, we're going to move into a lighter part of this, but let me just ask for the group. Does anybody else feel a little bit guilty trying to find some humor in things, trying to have fun, just because it's all so scary right now? Is that just me? That might just be me. I have a high level of guilt.
Not at all. I totally have guilt. I find myself looking at all of the amazing memes that are coming out of this thing. And I'll be, sitting and scrolling and laughing, and I'll just be like, this feels so great to laugh during this trying time. And then I'll see a post and it's, somebody that actually has coronavirus and they're struggling and they're on ventilators, and just, my mood will crash. How can I laugh? I just feel so guilty about trying to find the humor when the situation is so serious and is affecting so many people's lives.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that. I mean, I try not to watch the news, and I've realized that I'm not like a very think ahead type of person, and a lot of people in my life are and get really anxious. So I've found that like me using my strengths of being a little bit more like optimistic has really helped like my family members of just being like, okay, we can't control everything. And I think sharing like resources with them, like, okay, this is what's happening, but also it's out of our control. Do what you can and be as aware as you can be without letting it take over your life. Because if it does, then you're just going to be sitting in this bubble alone by yourself, just constantly in fear, which nobody should feel like they have to live in fear. So I've tried to just be as optimistic as I can and provide that to coworkers and my family.
Nice. I'm going to start calling you every day or so, Sarah.
Okay, it's all good.
Tell me just calm down.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here. We can talk.
I definitely don't feel guilt about finding the joys in life right now, because even when there's sadness, like the reason we feel sad is because we've experienced happiness, and sad things are happening. And even when terrible things are happening to people, like having gone through terrible things, everyone here has, everyone in the world has, like if you think about all the hard times you've had in your life, you've still been able to laugh, you've still been able to smile, like you can still find moments of joy. So I don't think that it makes sense to, feel bad about that, especially if people are going through hard times, because you have the empathy to also understand like, wow, this sucks for everyone. But you can still find joy in the little things in life. So to like bring that down, that felt really...
No, that was really well said.
That was perfect.
That was great.
That was really well said.
Thank you.
That was great.
You guys are so sweet.
I know we joke and complain about pain points, but I always try to circle back and think of, wow, let's make the most out of this unique opportunity. Think of how many families are reconnecting. And I think I've FaceTimed more relatives and had more interactions with them than I have in the past year, just because it's like, I'm just checking on everyone. Are you okay? How's your mental health going? Like, just trying to find the joys. So there's a lot of beauty that can come out of this. And I too wake up and watch the news and get frightened out of my skin. And then I have to kind of bring it back to, okay, well, what can you control? And I can control how I view this, right? So yes, it's terrible. I have a mother who is a nurse on the front line, so I worry about her every day. But, a simple phone call and her just happiness and positivity throughout all of this has really changed my viewpoint of, okay, what can you control, right? You can stay home if they ask you to stay home, and you can make the most of it. So I'm using this time to just do that.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've said first world problems over the last couple of weeks, right? Like we're forced to stay home. I'm forced to work in this extra room that we probably don't need, like all this stuff, the abundance that we have is becoming like so clear because we're forced to realize it and appreciate it, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's terrible and you can't help but feel a little guilty, but I think the guilt quickly goes away with the right attitude. You just kind of appreciate who's around you, what you have, all that we have. We're pretty lucky.
Very, very true. Vince, do you want to kick us off and we'll wrap up with Creative Soup on that wonderful note?
Yes, and thank you for acknowledging this segment of the show. So Sue and I have an ongoing debate on what to call this part, but so we usually wrap up with a thing that I like to call, that Sue does not like to call, but we are calling Creative Soup, where we toss something awesome into the creative soup of the listener. Now, normally, what we'll do is just anything that comes to mind that's just an awesome random thing. We thought for this episode, though, for today's conversation, it might be cool to focus on like what. So, and here's the question: what tools or resources have made it for either for you individually or for you as part of still working on a team at your organization to manage this whole working from home thing. So if it's a specific tool or resource, or we talked about Pomodoro a little bit, a methodology, or whatever it is, like what's making it work for you and for your team.
I want to start this one off by giving a huge shout out to Courtney because last week she decided to host a Crasher happy hour, virtual happy hour through Zoom. And I'm coming to love this whole video conferencing thing. And in the moment we all got together, obviously we haven't seen each other since GAC. So it's nice to see each other's faces, but then also have a safe place to just kind of decompress. We're all in the credit union industry. We're all being impacted by this, but it's also not just all work. It's all so personal. Well, how are we feeling and how are we taking different changes? We have a lot of people that are member facing that, like you, Lauren, have to go into work, and our members are scared. So it was just, I left that happy hour so light. I really did. And, it wasn't because of any beverages or anything like that. It was just coming and having a common safe space to just be human. And this is a time for compassion. And so I'm a big fan of Zoom, WebEx, all the video conferencing tools. I think it's actually weird, but it's bringing us closer together. So thank you, Courtney, for doing that.
Gosh, you're so welcome. It was super fun. I have a few more this week, and we'll do more. I will probably be doing more. So if you're listening and you want to do a happy hour, just let me know. So for me, aside from Zoom, because yes, that has been awesome. I got a Zoom account the moment I knew I was going to be working from home. I've happy houred with friends that I have been friends with for years in California, that I've been here for 3 years now in Wisconsin, that I have never done that before. And we were on a 2-hour call on Friday night, just hanging out, chatting. It was really nice. That was awesome. But the other thing that's been really wonderful for my team at work, that not everyone embraced before remote working, is Teams, specifically the chat feature of Teams. I can't tell you, I'm a contact center person at heart, and we used Skype and Link and Teams chat like crazy. And coming to an organization where that's not second nature for me, I would so much rather just quickly chat someone a quick question than send out an entire email for something. That has been so great that everyone's really embraced this new way to communicate, as well as using the video in Teams. I think that's also awesome because it's been great to keep us connected. To Andrea's point, sometimes I'm in my office all day and I don't see the people I work with. I've seen more of their faces now than I have in a really long time. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, Microsoft Teams for me for sure. And I don't know, Sue, Vince, are they a sponsor of the show? Is Microsoft endorsing?
No,
it?
hashtag not a sponsor.
No? Okay. Okay. We'll get them on board after this one. But yeah, no, I mean, to Sue's point earlier, like it's funny how we work within like 10 feet of each other every day, but we have seen each other more, looking each other in the eye and talking because of Teams. It's been awesome. So from a work standpoint, Microsoft Teams has been really good for us from like a non-work standpoint, but this new way of working has like forced me to do things a little differently. I just got to say, like, shout out to like Netflix and Apple Music and Spotify and stuff, because when I'm done in my little corner kingdom, like we have music on in the house all day, and like we're listening to all new stuff that we typically wouldn't listen to because we just have time, and it's nice to fill the air with something. And Netflix, like we're watching new shows because at night we have a little extra time to watch more shows now, so like to have all that at our fingertips, like just I can't wrap my head around what this whole situation would look like in the 70s or something, when your only access to that stuff was the library or, whatever. But so we're super fortunate to have all that stuff to keep things interesting.
Yeah. We use Teams also. We just started using it, and it's kind of confusing because we still use Skype. So some people will Skype you, some people will do Teams, but we have like work streams for the COVID-19. So we're all on the same page without having to sort through a bunch of emails. So that's been really great. And we've also created like another sub team that's like about just activities and stuff that you can do with your family and your kids to keep the day a little light. So people have been sharing some really cool things. There's like virtual tours, and like there's so many things that you can do that I never really knew about. And this kind of like brought that to life. But in my personal, outside of just Teams, I've learned that I really love learning. So I will take time, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, to watch like a webinar or some video about some marketing related things. I love to nerd out on that stuff. And there have been so many organizations that have been putting out free resources for people just to like get some creative think time. So I've been putting those on my calendar to kind of break up my day. So just having like so much access to information, and shout out also to like Beachbody On Demand, because that has been, I live for Beachbody On Demand. Like I did it before, and now I'm like, everybody do it. It's only $100. Like it's super cheap. So get it, do it, get some workout in. There's like so many things on there. So sorry, I just got really excited about fitness there.
That's okay. There'll be a sponsor soon too. So it's all good.
Yeah.
So for me, this is actually kind of interesting because my team and I, we were just talking about this yesterday. And so we're starting this schedule where half of us are going to be in the office one week, and then the other half is going to be in the office the following week, and then so on and so forth. So we were definitely brainstorming ways that we can still stay connected, because we, are working very closely together in the office, but we're also just like, very much we like to FaceTime powwow, and we'll huddle a couple times, everybody together face to face a couple times a day, because we really just enjoy having that time. And so we talked about potentially doing Zoom. I shout out to Courtney, offered that we do a happy hour, pulling that idea from her. And so we're thinking we're probably going to use Zoom to kind of stay in contact, and also just, like leaving each other notes for the following week. And our team mainly uses Asana, and so that's kind of how we keep track of what everybody is doing and what everybody's going to be working on. And so that's going to be pretty crucial too, since we'll have half of us working on something one week and then the other half working on the same thing the next week. But I wish we could have this conversation in a few weeks after this schedule has kind of like played out a little bit, because, word of the day is that this is a super interesting situation. So
that's what I've heard. That's weird too, is what I've
heard. I'm really excited. Very weird times.
Yeah. Project management tools are totally essential. Like we use RoboHead from just like the marketing team. And if we didn't have that, I don't know how we would get anything done, especially in a time like this. Like it's been super crucial just in general, but I'm definitely more appreciative of it now that we're 100% remote. So shout out to project management tools also.
Yeah, we use Trello. So I was going to point that out. Yeah, exactly that. We were already using that as a project management thing before this. And so it, in a sense, it wasn't too difficult that way because that's all web-based and we were going in and updating everything there anyway. And while we would have face-to-face meetings and reference Trello, like now we can just have the video meeting and still reference the same tool. So that's been huge.
Yeah. Well, and especially with some VPN weirdness and things like that, it going up and down, being able to save the things we're working on somewhere that's cloud-based and get to it. Yeah, for sure. And as long as we're giving shout outs to software, let me shout out one app that I am using that I don't know. I've been using it for a little while before, but definitely don't know how I'd be making this work right now without it. And that is an app for meditation. And I am meditating daily now. And that is definitely helped keeping me sane. as sane as I'm going to be anyway. I see that we are 3 minutes away from our time. Vince, do you have anything else you want to add? Any other questions for our wonderful guests?
No, but I think we covered it.
We did. We really appreciate you all so much being a part of this. This was really so much fun. And I can't thank you enough for being willing to sort of at the last minute, right? Really quickly to jump on and do this with us. So thank you all so much for spending time with us today.
Yeah, it was fun.
This was awesome.
It was fun.
This was great.
Thanks for having us.
We'll have to do it again.
Anytime.
Yeah.
A follow-up.
I'm in.
Yes, we'll do it. We'll check every few weeks
in a month.
or so. Yeah.
See how we're feeling in a month.
Yeah. If we're still so positive, right?
Yeah.
So it is time to wrap up. And as we always do, in our little wrap up, we want to throw out any links below. So if our guests have any links that they want to share with us, we will pop them onto the blog page. Speaking of the blog page, you can find us a number of places, including anchor.fm. You can find us on iTunes, or you can visit our blog, exclamationqso.com/blog. You can see the episodes of Awesomeology. We do always encourage that you check those out so you can see any links or anything that folks share. And also, we would love it if you went back and listened to some of our past episodes if this is your first time listening.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, listener, friend, for tuning in. This is Sue and Vince, reminding you that life's awesome if you make it awesome. We'll see you next time.